So we are talking about this is what? Female reproductive system of cockroach. See, for female reproductive system of cockroach, we have to remember certain important parts. It is same like human. In human female reproductive system, what we say, it has ovary, fallopian tube, oviduct. So all those labelings will come here. So very first, we will say that the female reproductive system, it consists of, I can say it has a pair of ovary. So this, what I can show you is nothing but a pair of ovary. So these are the ovary, and above this ovary what you get, so these are nothing but ovarioles. This what you can see is nothing but it is considered as ovariole. So when we talk about ovary, what we will say? First, ovary is present in pair. Second, each ovary has 8 ovarioles. Each ovary has 8 ovarioles, and ovarioles consist of developing ova. Now when I say developing ova, it simply means it consists of developing egg. So the egg is present inside the ovarioles. So this was the ovary, but these lines that you can see, these lines are nothing but the ovarioles. So here I can put it in this way, that this is considered as the ovarioles. So let's take it here in this way. They are considered as ovarioles. So each ovary consists of 8 ovarioles. Then the ovarioles gives rise to oviduct. So we can see this now. This is called as oviduct. Oviduct is basically a fallopian tube. So we have 2 oviduct here. So here you can see that there are 2. So I can say that this is the one oviduct, this is the second one. So there are 2 oviduct, right and left oviduct. Both the oviduct, they are going to come and they are going to meet basically in this area. So this area that we can see, it is called as common oviduct. So we have right oviduct, we have the left oviduct. Both are going to meet at a common place that we all call it as common oviduct. So oviduct is nothing but how it is formed. This is a very important question. So remember, oviduct is formed by union of ovarioles from each side. So oviduct is formed by, not for common oviduct, it is for oviduct. Oviduct is formed by union of ovarioles from each side. So we'll say that the oviduct of the cockroach, how it is formed. So you can say it is formed by union of, the oviduct is formed by union of ovarioles from each side, or from each ovary you can say. And both the right and left oviduct, they will both meet at a point. That point is called as common oviduct. So this common oviduct is also termed as, you can say, the vagina. This is the vagina of the cockroach. Now this vagina of the cockroach is common oviduct, and where the vagina opens, so we can say, look at this, this opens here, and this lower part where the common oviduct is opening is called as genital chamber. So this entire chamber that you can see is called as genital chamber. So this genital chamber consists of most important part, that is called as gland. the collateral gland, we can say. Here you can see a pouch-like structure. This is very important part. There is a pouch-like structure here present. So this pouch-like structure is logically called as spermatheca. Now what is spermatheca? When the cockroach does mating, the male cockroach gives all the sperms to the female cockroach, and finally female cockroach is going to store it. So the place where they are going to store, that area is called as spermatheca. So remember, the role of spermatheca is basically to store the sperm. So whenever we talk about spermatheca, I write it here separately, that spermatheca is above the sixth segment. So most important point for spermatheca, with respect to segment, I can say it is present above sixth segment. Above the sixth segment, the spermatheca is present. What is the role of the spermatheca? So we can say it receives sperms from male, and finally it will be stored. So it receives sperms from male during copulation. What is copulation? Basically mating. So when male and female cockroach, they mate with each other, that time the sperm will be deposited and the sperm will be stored in the spermatheca. Now these branches that you can see here, these are very important branches. So this one, basically these branches, they are called as collateral glands. These are called as collateral glands. Now the most important part, this collateral gland appears like a tree. So if I draw it separately so that you can understand very nicely, that the collateral gland, I draw this as the genital chamber, and from here will arise this collateral gland. This is collateral gland. The collateral gland shows lots of branching like this. These are all branching that we see. So this is called as collateral gland. The point is what we should know about this collateral gland. So remember, collateral gland is called as female accessory gland. Collateral gland is called as female accessory gland. What it does, the secretion of these glands, they form a covering on the egg case. So remember, secretion of gland means collateral gland, secretion of collateral gland helps in the formation of leathery, it helps in the formation of leathery dark brown egg case. This is very important. And this dark brown egg case will be something like this. So like this you might have seen somewhere on the wall or a structure like this. So this structure is called as ootheca. And inside the ootheca, what is present? Fertilized egg. So we can say that this ootheca protects the fertilized egg. The question is, how many eggs are present in one ootheca? So I can say that there are 14 to 16 eggs. 14 to 16 eggs in one ootheca. So this is very important. In one ootheca, you are going to get 14 to 16 eggs. Let's come back again to the diagram. This is all what you should know about collateral gland. Now, this part, this labeling is called as vestibulum. Here we can see that opening, the opening for reproduction, it is gonapophysis. The entire female cockroach will be covered by chitin except the reproductive opening, that is called as gonapophysis. The next important part is here. This what you can see here, it is called as vitellarium. This is divided into different layers. So I can say this is one part, this is second part, and this is the third part. So let's do the labeling of all these three parts. The upper one is called as terminal filament. The upper one is called as terminal filament. Then we have this lower one, second part. It is called as germarium. It is called as germarium. The lowermost one that you can see here, it is called as vitellarium. And this all three together, it is nothing but forming a structure called as ovarioles. So remember this. So all these three parts together will make the ovarioles. So the female reproductive system of cockroach consists of, first we will say ovary. The ovary is present in pair. Each ovary has 8 ovarioles. Ovarioles consist of developing egg. Then there is oviduct. This oviduct is formed by the union of ovarioles. So all these ovarioles, they will unite. These all ovarioles, they come, they unite, and when they unite, it forms a structure that we all call it as oviduct. There is right oviduct and left oviduct. Both will open together in the common oviduct. The common oviduct is also called as vagina of the female. And where the vagina opens, so we say vagina is going to open in the genital chamber. Then there is very important part called as spermatheca. This spermatheca is nothing but, it is above the sixth segment. It is going to receive the sperm from male cockroach during mating or copulation. Then surrounding the genital chamber, we have the most important one, that is called as collateral gland. The collateral gland is a female accessory gland. Secretion helps in the formation of leathery dark brown egg case, which is also called as ootheca. Ootheca protects the fertilized egg. There are about 14 to 16 eggs present in one ootheca. Then in the genital chamber, the opening that is there for mating is called as gonapophysis. The ovarioles, they are formed by three parts basically. The last one is called as terminal filament. Below that there is germarium, and below that there is vitellarium. So this all together makes the female reproductive system of cockroach. The other name for genital chamber is also bursa copulatrix. It is the female organ for mating basically. Let's talk about that gonapophysis. So some important points that has to be kept in mind, that the genital chamber of female is given other name also. It is called as bursa copulatrix. The sperm is stored in a structure called spermatheca. Beside this, there is collateral gland, and it opens into the genital chamber. Female gonapophysis. Remember, gonapophysis is basically the opening for mating. This gonapophysis, it is surrounded by 6 chitinous plates. So there are 6 chitinous plates that will surround the opening. So if I take this as the opening, so it is surrounded by 6 chitinous plates. I can say this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so these 6 plates, they will be surrounding this opening. Let's talk about fertilization and formation of Uthika. How the male and female cockroach come together, how they mate, that is what we need to understand. That is fertilization and formation of Uthika. So first we will say that male and female cockroach. So if there is a male cockroach and there is a female cockroach, both will come together by their posterior end. Remember, cockroach comes together by their posterior end. Means they never come face to face, they always come together back to back by their posterior end with the help of phallomere. Remember, with the help of phallomere, they will attract each other. Now the sperms, they are released from the spermatophore. So let's check it in this way. The male cockroach, okay, so I draw this way. This is the male cockroach. And in that same way, I put this way as the female cockroach. So you can see that they are attracted towards each other by the help of posterior end. Let us keep this to be the head of the male and female cockroach. So by the posterior end, they will attract each other. The most important point is that the male, they are going to release the sperm. So from where the sperms are released? So sperms are released from the opening called as spermatophore. And from this spermatophore, the sperm will travel, and in the female reproductive system, it will reach into spermatheca. Spermatheca is a small pouch-like structure that stores. But the eggs are discharged by both the ovaries alternately into the common oviduct. And finally, the eggs are fertilized by the sperm. So the story is something like this. This is the right oviduct, the left oviduct. Both will come and they will meet. And when they meet, basically, they meet at a point that is called as common oviduct. Here, there is a spermatheca. So this green part is the spermatheca. The eggs basically will be released from the right oviduct. It will come. Then after right oviduct, it will come in the left oviduct. And finally, all these eggs, they will be deposited by the sperms. And these sperms which are present in the spermatheca, they will fertilize the egg. And finally, what happens? With the spermatheca fertilizes, so what we can say here, very important part with respect to cockroach. Since cockroach belongs to invertebrate, non-chordates, the fertilization is internal. The fertilization of cockroach is internal. And finally, after fertilization, what will happen? The cockroach will produce Uthika. So let's talk about Uthika. What exactly Uthika is? The Uthika has hard covering, no doubt. That hard covering is provided by the help of the secretion of the gland, that is collateral gland. So secretion of collateral gland. First point I can say, Uthika, secretion of collateral gland. It is formed by the secretion of collateral gland. So what they do, let's take this to be all the eggs. These are all fertilized eggs which are present inside, 14 to 16. Now the Uthika will release that secretion. That collateral gland will release the secretion. So it will form a brownish covering on it, this covering. So this covering is provided only by the help of collateral gland. And inside this, what will be present? All the eggs will be present that will develop. So this structure that you can see is called as Uthika. So logically, Uthika is a capsule basically. You can say dark reddish, or even in Uthika you can call it as egg case. So what I can say for Uthika, that Uthika is nothing but it is the capsule or the egg case. How it is? Dark reddish or blackish brown capsule. So this Uthika, if I have to describe it separately, so I draw a little bit big so that I can describe. Sometime from this, you see some structure coming out like this. So this is nothing but the eggs of the cockroach which is coming out. So when we talk about Uthika, remember certain important points. Dark reddish to blackish brown capsule. Dark reddish to blackish brown capsule. So it appears something like this. How much is the length? You can say 8 millimeter long. And how many eggs are present? So we can say 14 to 16 eggs in each Uthika is there. All these Uthikas where they are dropped. So if I take, for example, this to be the wall. Let's take this is the wall or the bricks of the wall. So what happens, you find sometimes some crevices. Crevices means crack. So the cracks that you see on the wall, these are all crack. So in these cracks, what will happen? The Uthika is released. The cockroach will always give the Uthika in the cracks. So this is how Uthika is released. And these all Uthikas, they are glued to each other by the help of gum. Like a crack or crevices of good humanity near the food source. On an average, you can say, female cockroach produces 9 to 10 Uthika. Now you can calculate if 10 Uthika at one time, 10 into 16, 160 eggs will be produced by the female cockroach. Let's talk about development of egg. How the eggs will develop. Uthika is laid. Now what happens to that Uthika? So we talk about development of egg. So in development of egg, we will talk about first Periplaneta americana, because this is the most common species of cockroach found across the globe. So it is Periplaneta americana. So this Periplaneta americana, it is Paurometabolous. Now what do you mean by this word Paurometabolous? Paurometabolous means there is development through nymphal stage. When we use this word Paurometabolous, remember development through nymphal stage. Nymph means the small one. So development is taking place through nymphal stage. That is what is Paurometabolous. Now the temperature is also a factor that will allow the Uthika to develop. So I can say that the embryonic period is going to vary as per temperature. So let us take now depending on the temperature, the development of the egg will take place. For example, if the temperature is 24 degrees Celsius, then it will take 58 days for the egg to develop. And if the temperature is about 30 degrees Celsius, means it is like, you can say, summer season, then it will take only 32 days. So the temperature will decide the time period for the development. How the development goes? So we can say that there is a fertilized egg. This fertilized egg will develop. It will form nymph. Nymph is the intermediate stage, the small young ones that you can see. And finally you will see adult. The nymph look like the adult, but they are smaller for, you can say, sexual reproduction, because they are sexually immature. So nymph cockroach, if I draw, let's take in this way. I draw the fertilized egg first. Every species has their own development. So I take this as the fertilized egg. So this is the fertilized egg. From this will come out the nymph. Nymph cockroach, the small cockroaches that you see running here and there, light brown color. So those are nymph. They are not ready for sexual reproduction. That is the biggest drawback. And they look like cockroach only. After sufficient growth, this nymph will undergo a very important thing that is called as molting. After sufficient growth, it undergoes molting and enter into the next instar. Now the point here is, what is instar? So instar is nothing but it is a stage between two successive molt. Stage between two successive molt is called as instar. And once the cockroach has developed, now it will develop into adult. So I can say now this is the adult cockroach with everything. So this adult cockroach is sexually also ready for reproduction. So remember, this is adult cockroach. And molting is very important. Cockroach may undergo molting how many times? So we can say this molting that takes place in the nymph, it can undergo molting about 13 times. Remember, about 13 times before becoming adult. So this adult cockroach will develop from nymph, but 13 times you can understand the molting will take place. The nymphal stage, basically they have wing pad. Now when I say wing pad means they will not have wings, basically they will just have that wing pad, and adult cockroach will show the presence of wings. So this is all what you should know about the fertilization and development of egg. Let's talk about the next important part of the cockroach, that is interaction with mankind. So we are having cockroach interaction with mankind. How the cockroach has interacted with humans, how they have destroyed. So cockroach, basically they are not at all useful for us, except the Chinese people. They eat food, they eat cockroach. For them it might be good, but for rest of the human being on this earth it is not good. Why? Because cockroach, very first, it causes damage. Cockroach, what it will cause? It will cause damage to household materials. Now that household materials can be your books. Sometimes cockroach eat all your books, shoes, cloth. They also eat and destroy the food stuff. The second interaction is that the cockroach, they contaminate the food. Sometimes it happens that we keep the leftover food, the food which is left over during night time, we keep it in a refrigerator. Cockroach, they come and they walk in the refrigerator, they contaminate the food, and finally once the food is contaminated, the food will start giving out bad smell and it makes unpalatable, means you cannot eat that cockroach, you cannot eat that food. Where they live, so we can say cockroach lives in sewer or sewage pipes. There are lots of viruses and bacteria present. Okay, so they live in sewage pipe, or even you can say gutter holes. The moment you lift up the gutter lid, you will see lots of cockroaches running here and there. So that cockroach, they can have lots of harmful pathogen, and since there is harmful pathogen, they are also responsible for causing diseases. This is very dangerous, like cholera, diarrhea, tuberculosis, typhoid, etc. Cockroach, they serves as a part of food chain. This is also very important. They are the part of food chain. If cockroach is removed, then a food chain will be lost. So we cannot destroy. Why? Because the many, you can say, birds. If you have lots of cockroach in your house, just introduce a lizard. A single lizard will finish up all the cockroach within 1 day or 2 days, and then you can just catch the lizard and throw it out of the house. So many birds, lizards, and rodents feed on cockroach. So again, they play a very important role because they're acting as a food for some other animal. They are eaten up by certain group of people in South America, China, and Myanmar. So this is food also for them, which is not at all good. Cockroach is used as an experimental animal in laboratories to study mutation. You won't believe cockroach is the only animal that has not changed its body form texture right from the day it was formed. Even the Hiroshima and Nagasaki attack that took place in the Second World War, where entire Japan was destroyed, all the animals got mutated, all the plants got mutated, all the human beings got mutated, but it was only cockroach which was not mutated even by 1%. It means cockroach's body has the potential to control, to bear the radiation effect. And that radiation, if it is bared by cockroach, what people thought there, if we eat cockroach, is there any possibility that that power will come in our body? And this is the reason why they started eating cockroach. So it has great experimental animals, you can say. It is used in laboratory, it is used for research purpose, and it will not cause any damage because they can be easily obtained. If somebody asks why cockroach is used in laboratory for experimental purpose, first reason is they can be easily obtained. It will not cause damage to the ecological balance. At a time, it produces many eggs. That's why it is very good. We have the next part to be taken care of is control measures. If you don't want cockroach to enter in your house, what control measures you will take just to avoid the cockroach? So very first, we have to have a good sanitation. If there is good cleanliness in your house, then definitely cockroach will not enter. Make use of phenyl, make use of some Lysol or some other kind of chemicals to wash the floor. Dark and humid place of the kitchen, cupboard, trolley must be cleaned regularly. Cracks and crevices and such areas must be filled. There should not be any place at home where there is accumulation of garbage. So if you practice good sanitation, cockroach will never enter your house. Cockroach frequently enters home by migrating up from the sewers. So you can use a drain trap. So drain trap should be dry and cover it so that the cockroach cannot enter. So during night time, just cover that sewer opening by some lid so that cockroach cannot enter through it. The second method is you can go for chemical control. Chemical control, organophosphate, carbamates, pyrethroids, boric acid. They are very efficient poison of cockroach. Take some boric acid. The boric acid you just use for playing carom board also. Just dissolve it in water and spray it. It will kill the cockroach. So this is all what you should know about the cockroach.